My wife forgot to hang up and accidentally live-streamed her affair, so I recorded it and ended everything at the restaurant. Hey guys, I've been sitting here for like an hour trying to figure out how to write this. It happened 2 weeks ago, but everything still feels weird and messed up. I'm 27, and up until recently, I was married to Sarah, not her real name, obviously. I don't want this getting back to me somehow. We'd been married for 2 years, together for 4 years total, before everything fell apart. I guess I should give some background first. We met through mutual friends at a board game night. Yeah, I know, super exciting, lol, but honestly, it was perfect for us because we're both kind of introverted. Or, well, I thought we were. Sarah was working as a receptionist back then, and I had just gotten promoted at my IT job. We clicked right away, same sense of humor, both liked staying in and watching movies, both wanted to save up for a house someday. After we got married, Sarah brought up wanting to focus on our home life instead of working. She talked about how she wanted to make our apartment really nice, maybe start a small business from home eventually, that kind of thing. I was making decent money, not rich or anything, but enough to support us both if we were careful, so I said okay. Looking back, maybe that's when things started changing, but I didn't notice it then. Our apartment isn't huge or anything, but it's in a decent area downtown. The rent is pretty high, what isn't these days? But I wanted Sarah to feel safe walking around the neighborhood. When we first moved in, she was so excited about the security system and the doorman, kept saying how grateful she was that I found us such a nice place. But lately, she just complains about how all her friends live in newer buildings. I work in the tech district, about 20 minutes away, normal 9-to-5 job, though I usually stay late because there's always some crisis to fix. Sarah used to appreciate the overtime pay, even made me little thank you dinners when I had to work late. But lately, she just rolls her eyes when I text that I'll be home late. Like I'm choosing to stay at work instead of fixing actual problems. I remember when I first got promoted at work, she made a whole celebration out of it, bought me a little cake, told me I was her rock, that she felt so lucky to have a husband who worked so hard for their future. She hugged me and said, "I don't care how late you have to stay at work, I know you're doing it for us." Now that version of Sarah feels like a stranger. The woman who once called me her rock is growing distant, almost cold, but I told myself it was just mood swings. Anyway, that Tuesday started like any other day. I woke up early and got ready for work. Sarah was still sleeping. I left her breakfast in the microwave, like I always do, even though lately she'd been complaining about my basic cooking. She used to wake up to have breakfast with me, saying it was our special time together, but the past few months, she'd been sleeping later and later, not even bothering to send a thank you text for the breakfast anymore. I should have seen that as a sign, I guess. Looking back, there were lots of little things changing, acting like everything I did was just expected rather than appreciated. Work was super busy that morning. We had this big software update that was causing problems for like half the company. I barely had time to check my phone until lunch. That's when I realized Sarah hadn't texted me all morning, which was weird. She usually sends me random stuff throughout the day, funny videos, pictures of whatever she's cooking, asking what I want for dinner, that kind of thing. I wasn't worried or suspicious or anything, just thought maybe she was having a busy day doing errands or something. So, I called her while eating my lunch. When she picked up, something felt off right away. Her voice was all quiet and rushed, like when someone's trying not to be heard. "Hey, I'm busy, can I call you later?" Then she hung up. Or, well, she thought she hung up. This is where everything started going downhill. I was just sitting there, about to put my phone down, when I heard noises. You know how sometimes people think they've ended a call, but they actually haven't? Yeah, that happened. I could hear restaurant sounds in the background, plates clinking, people talking, that kind of thing. Then I heard Sarah's voice again, but she obviously wasn't talking to me anymore. I know some people would have hung up right away. Maybe that would have been the right thing to do, but honestly, I was confused. Sarah had told me before that she was planning to deep clean the kitchen that day. Why was she at a restaurant, and why did she sound so weird on the phone? So yeah, I kept listening. Judge me if you want, but I'm glad I did. At first I thought maybe she was having lunch with one of her friends. She doesn't work, but she has this group of friends she hangs out with sometimes, mostly other wives who don't work. But then I heard her voice get all flirty, like that tone you use when you're trying to impress someone you're interested in. She called someone sweetheart and started giggling. My stomach felt weird, like that feeling you get when you know something bad is about to happen. I just sat there in my office chair, completely frozen, half-eaten sandwich forgotten on my desk. The more I listened, the worse it got. She was telling this person how good they looked, how they should do this more often. Then she started joking about me, calling me clueless and laughing about it. I was baffled. No way, this isn't what it sounds like. My brain kept scrambling for explanations. Maybe it was some kind of inside joke. Maybe she was just humoring a friend. But the more I listened, the harder it became to lie to myself. Every little flirtatious comment, every playful giggle, chipped away at the excuses I was trying to build. This isn't her, this isn't us. My hands were shaking now, my heartbeat loud in my ears. I told myself to stop listening, to hang up and give her the benefit of the doubt. But I couldn't. I needed to hear everything because some small, desperate part of me was still holding out hope that this was all one big misunderstanding, that any second now she'd say something, anything that would prove me wrong. But she didn't. The same guy who worked extra hours to make sure she could stay home was clueless. The same guy who supported her decision not to work, who paid all the bills, who still tried to give her everything she wanted. That guy was a joke to her. I felt sick. Sarah's voice changed completely when she talked to this guy, all sweet and playful, like when we first started dating. She kept saying stuff like, "You always know exactly what to say, and I love how you just get me." Every word made me feel more nauseous. I work in IT, so recording stuff is kind of second nature. We always record important meetings and calls for documentation. I had this app on my phone from when I needed to record a client meeting last month. Without even thinking about it, I hit record. Looking back, that one decision probably saved me from a whole mess of drama later. The stuff I recorded, man, Sarah was practically gushing over this dude. "You're so different from him," she said. "He's always talking about budgets and saving for a house. It's so boring. You know how to have fun." That stung. Like, yeah, I talk about budgets because I'm the one paying for everything, including the phone she was using to trash talk me. Then she started talking about their plans. Apparently they'd been meeting up whenever I worked late. Those extra hours I put in to give her a better life? She was using that time to see him. Real nice, right? Remember that promotion I was working toward? The one she said she was so proud of me for trying to get? Yeah, she told him it was annoying how much time I spent at work. The worst part was hearing her laugh about me. Not just little giggles, full-on laughing. He's so focused on his computer stuff he doesn't even notice when I dress up nice anymore. But you always notice. I wanted to yell through the phone that I did notice. I noticed everything. I noticed how she used to light up when I brought her little surprises. How she'd relax when I held her after a long day. How she once said she loved me because I made her feel safe. But somewhere along the way that stopped being enough. I was breaking my back trying to build a future for us, making sacrifices she never even saw. I couldn't take her to fancy restaurants every week or buy her new clothes constantly. Not when I was the one keeping a roof over our heads, paying the bills, making sure we had stability. And now she was laughing at me for it with another dude. They kept talking and I kept recording. Part of me wanted to hang up, but I knew I needed proof. Reddit taught me that much, always get evidence. Then I heard something that made me sit up straight. "This new bistro is amazing," she said. "Thanks for bringing me here." I immediately knew it was that fancy place that opened up near our apartment last month. The one where Sarah said spending $30 on a meal was wasteful when I suggested taking her there for our anniversary. Guess it wasn't too wasteful for her date. The same place she said was pretentious was suddenly amazing. I knew their exact location now. While I sat there just listening, literally stunned, my coworker Steve walked by my office right then. He must have seen something was wrong because he stopped and asked if I was okay. I probably looked like I'd seen a ghost. "Just feeling sick," I told him. "Might need to head out early." He nodded and said he'd cover for me. Steve's a good dude. The recording was still going. Sarah and this guy were talking about meeting up again, same time next week. He asked, "Maybe we can try that new sushi place you mentioned?" She giggled. That specific giggle she used to do when I made her laugh. "Perfect," she said. "He never suspects anything. He thinks I'm just at home cleaning or whatever." The bistro they were in was only 15 minutes from my office. I knew exactly where it was. I passed it every day on my way home. This guy, whoever he was sitting there right now, probably thinking he's so smooth. And my wife, the woman I supported for 2 years, she was there, laughing at me. So, I drove there, my rage bubbling up. When I arrived, I saw them together. I sat there for a minute just watching. Should I go in? Should I call her again? Should I just drive away and pretend this never happened? But then I heard her laugh through the phone again. That carefree laugh she used to have when we first started dating. The laugh I hadn't heard in months because apparently I wasn't worth laughing for anymore. Suddenly, everything felt steady, like in those moments when you finally understand something that's been confusing you for ages. All those times she said she was too tired to go out with me but somehow had energy to keep the house spotless? Yeah, now I knew where her energy was really going. I checked my recording app, 47 minutes of audio so far. 47 minutes of my wife on a date with another man, laughing about how stupid I was. The guy who worked 50-hour weeks so she could stay home. The guy who never questioned why grocery bills were so high lately. The guy who believed her when she said she needed expensive face creams for her sensitive skin. Before I got out of the car, I texted Steve from work, family emergency, might need a few days off. He replied right away, got you covered, man. Take care. At least someone in my life wasn't lying to me. Walking into that bistro was the longest walk of my life. The host tried to stop me. Sir, do you have a reservation? But I just walked past him. I could still hear Sarah's voice through my phone. But now I could hear it in person too, coming from a corner table, partially hidden by some plants. The sight of them together, it's burned into my brain now. Sarah was wearing this blue dress I'd never seen before, her hair done all nice. Not the messy bun she usually had when I came home from work. She was leaning in close to this guy, playing with her necklace the way she used to do when she was flirting with me. The guy looked exactly like you'd expect. Expensive watch, designer clothes, perfect haircut. Probably some sales guy or real estate agent, the type who could take long lunches in fancy restaurants while other people worked real jobs. He was showing Sarah something on his phone, and she was practically sitting in his lap to look at it. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds before they noticed me, just watching my wife act like a completely different person. The Sarah I knew complained about spending money on anything that wasn't essential. This Sarah was sipping what looked like an expensive cocktail at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. The weirdest part? I wasn't even angry anymore. I thought I would be. I should have been. But instead, I just felt nothing. Empty. Like I was watching someone else's life fall apart from the outside. Like it wasn't even real. 2 years of marriage, 4 years together, all the late nights I spent working overtime, all the times I put her first, skipped out on things I wanted so she could have what she needed. None of it mattered. It was like every sacrifice, every compromise, every moment I thought we were building something together had just evaporated. And in that exact moment, it hit me. My marriage wasn't just struggling. It wasn't salvageable. It was already over. As I stepped toward them, Sarah saw me first. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might pass out. Her date was still looking at his phone, completely oblivious. Then she knocked over her glass, and that got his attention. He looked up, saw me, then looked at Sarah with this confused expression. I didn't yell, didn't make a scene, just walked up to their table and stood there. The restaurant wasn't super busy, but the few other customers definitely noticed something was about to go down. A waiter stopped mid-stride, probably trying to decide if he should call security. Having a nice lunch? I asked. My voice sounded weird, like it wasn't even mine. Sarah immediately put on this fake, casual smile. Oh, hey. This is just Tom from my online cooking class. We were just discussing recipes. Her voice was all high-pitched, like when she lies to telemarketers. You should join us. Tom looked confused, probably wondering why she was acting so weird. Then she kept going. We're actually working on planning a surprise dinner for you. That's why I've been so secretive lately. Man, watching her make up lies on the spot was almost impressive. A surprise dinner? I said, with the guy you've been calling sweetheart for the past hour? Her fake smile froze. What are you talking about? Tom started looking between us, clearly trying to piece things together. I held up my phone. You forgot to hang up earlier. Been on the line for almost an hour now. The color drained from her face again. Tom's eyes went wide as he finally got it. Wait, you're her husband? She said you were her ex. Sarah cut him off. Tom, don't. This isn't what it looks like. She turned to me, still trying to control the situation. You're misunderstanding everything. We're just friends. Then I played the recording. Just a short clip of her laughing about how clueless I was, calling Tom sweetheart, talking about doing this more often. The silence after that was heavy. Tom started gathering his stuff. I should go, he said, looking genuinely uncomfortable. Look, man, she told me you guys were separated. Sarah grabbed his arm. Tom, wait, don't leave. But he pulled away and practically ran out of there. That's when Sarah completely switched tactics. Her whole demeanor changed. The sweet, innocent act disappeared. Well, I guess now you know, she said, her voice sharp and defensive. I've never been happy in this marriage anyway. You're so cold and boring, always working, always talking about money and bills. Several people were definitely watching now. A couple had their phones out, probably hoping for some viral content. You don't understand, she continued, getting louder. I'm suffocating here. It's always about saving money or your stupid career. Tom actually listens to me. He takes me places. I pulled out my credit card statement. You mean like this place? The one you said was too expensive when I wanted to take you here? Guess it's not too expensive when someone else is paying. She flinched at that. The manager was heading our way now, probably worried about his restaurant's fancy reputation. Sarah saw him coming and switched tactics again. Tears started forming in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. I made a mistake. We can work this out. But her words felt empty, like watching a bad actor try to cry on command. Is everything all right here? The manager asked. In that way fancy restaurant people talk. Sarah tried to smile through her fake tears. Yes, we're fine. My husband was just, I cut her off. I was just leaving. We were having a conversation about divorce. That word, divorce, it hit her hard. The fake tears dried up instantly. Her face got hard. You can't just decide that, she snapped. We need to talk about this. You're overreacting. I placed enough cash on the table to cover their bill. Didn't want her charging anything else to my cards. Nothing to talk about, I said. You made your choice. Now you can live with it. Then I walked out, leaving her sitting there with her fancy, unfinished lunch and her failed attempts at manipulation. Getting into my car, the adrenaline was wearing off, and reality was starting to sink in. My phone started buzzing. Sarah was calling me over and over. I turned it off and just sat there, trying to figure out what to do next. The logical part of my brain kicked in, probably from years of solving IT problems. First step, protect yourself. I pulled up my banking app and started canceling her access to my accounts. Secondary credit card, gone. Joint checking, transferred most of it to my personal account. I left enough for her to get by for a week. More than she deserved, honestly. Then the documentation. I emailed the recording to myself, then backed it up to 3 different places. Some guy walked past my car, and I realized I was still sitting in the bistro parking lot. Sarah could come out any minute. I drove to my bank first. The lady at the counter could probably tell something was wrong. My hands were still shaking when I handed over my ID. Need to remove someone from my accounts, I said. She got real quiet when I explained why. Started telling me about how her sister went through something similar. While I was there, Sarah texted me from her friend Jessica's phone. You're being ridiculous. Answer your phone. We need to talk about this like adults. Yeah, because adults totally go behind their partner's back and laugh about it. I blocked Jessica's number too. The bank lady helped me set up completely new accounts, said it was safer that way. Apparently, some people try to drain joint accounts during divorces. She gave me this whole packet about financial security during separation. Never thought I'd need something like that. Next stop, our apartment. Sarah was still texting me from random numbers, probably going through her whole contact list. You can't just cut me off. What am I supposed to do about money? You're being cruel. I blocked each new number as it came in. When I got into the apartment, I grabbed my important documents first: birth certificate, social security card, passport. Found them in the drawer where I always kept them. At least she hadn't messed with those. Then I checked our safe, wedding rings, some cash, my grandmother's watch, all still there. I was almost unpacking when I heard her key in the door. Should have known she'd come straight home. I quickly zipped up my bag, but she came in before I could leave. Her makeup was smeared now. Guess those fake tears turned real at some point. Where do you think you're going? She demanded, her voice shaky but angry. You can't just walk out on our marriage. I tried to move past her, but she blocked the doorway. We need to talk about this. You can't just cut off my cards and empty our account. That made me stop. Our account? I said. You mean my account? The one that only has my paycheck going into it? The one that pays for everything because you decided working was beneath you? Her face got red. I take care of our home. That was our agreement. No, I said. Our agreement was that you'd start a business from home. 2 years later, still no business, just a lot of lunches I didn't know about. She tried to grab my bag. Give me my card back. You can't just leave me with nothing. I pulled away from her. I left enough in the joint account for a week. Call your parents, call Tom, call whoever you want. Not my problem anymore. She started crying again, real tears this time. Please, she begged. I made a mistake. I was stupid. We can fix this. Something snapped inside me when she said, we can fix this. Maybe it was the way she said we, like I was partly responsible for her cheating, or maybe it was just everything hitting me at once. I looked at her, standing there crying, and I didn't recognize her anymore. Fix what, exactly? I asked. The part where you laughed about me being clueless? Or the part where you spent my money on dates with another guy? She tried to grab my arm again, but I moved away. That's when she got desperate. I'll tell everyone you abused me, she said, her voice completely different now. I'll tell them you controlled all the money, kept me trapped at home. I pulled out my phone, and her eyes went wide. Go ahead, I said. I've got an hour of you bragging about how you fooled me. Want me to send that to everyone we know? She changed tactics again. Started saying how her friend Amy just went through a divorce and lost everything. How her friend's husband got some shark lawyer who destroyed her in court. I guess that was supposed to scare me, make me stay. My phone kept lighting up with messages. Her mom was texting now, Sarah's hysterical. What did you do to her? Her sister sent a long paragraph about how marriage takes work and running away won't solve anything. Even her dad messaged me, which was weird because he barely knows how to text. I tried to leave again, but Sarah blocked the door, started saying she'd hurt herself if I left, that she couldn't live without me. Classic manipulation stuff. That's when I started recording on my phone again. Didn't tell her. Just let it run in my pocket. Move, I said. She got more hysterical, saying she'd call the police, tell them I hit her. I stayed calm, kept recording. There are cameras in the hallway, I reminded her. Our apartment building installed them last year after some packages got stolen. Her face fell, she'd forgotten about those. Then she switched to bargaining, said we could go to counseling, she'd get a job, pay me back everything. She'd let me track her phone, check her messages, give me all her passwords. She'd do anything to prove she was sorry, but here's the thing. I didn't want any of that. I didn't want to check her messages or track her location. I didn't want to become some controlling husband who monitors his wife's every move. That's not a marriage, that's a prison sentence for both people. I already called my parents, she said next. They said you can't just throw me out, I have tenant rights. I almost laughed at that. You're not a tenant. You've never paid a single bill. But fine, stay here tonight. I'll be back with legal papers tomorrow. That scared her. The reality of actual divorce papers. She started throwing out random accusations, saying I worked too much, never gave her attention, pushed her into staying home, said I was emotionally unavailable, cold, distant. All the greatest hits of blame shifting. My phone buzzed again, my buddy Mike asking if I needed a place to crash. I'd texted him earlier, just in case. Sarah saw the message preview pop up and lost it. Started screaming about how I'd planned this, had been waiting for an excuse to leave her. I got out and made it to the elevator before she could catch up. She kept screaming from our doorway about how I was making a huge mistake, how I'd regret this, how no one would ever love me like she did. The elevator doors closed on her screaming. I finally took a deep breath. My phone showed missed calls, text messages, and a bunch of social media notifications. Sarah had apparently posted some vague status about fighting for her marriage. You know, typical social media drama stuff. Mike was waiting in his car outside. Good dude, didn't ask questions, just popped his trunk for my bag. As we pulled away, I saw Sarah in our apartment window, probably trying to figure out whose car I was getting into. She'd already tried calling Mike's phone twice, but he didn't pick up. The next morning, reality hit hard. I woke up in Mike's spare room, staring at an unfamiliar ceiling, while my phone showed too many new voicemails from unknown numbers. Sarah had apparently spent the night calling everyone we knew, using their phones after I blocked hers. I called work first. My boss was surprisingly cool about everything, said to take the week off, get my stuff sorted. Then I called a divorce lawyer my coworker recommended. The lawyer listened to my recording and said something that stuck with me. Your wife is about to realize that actions have consequences. Sarah didn't wait long to show her true colors. By noon she drained the money I'd left in our joint account. Every penny. Then she tried using our emergency credit card, but I'd already frozen it. That's when the real crazy started. She posted this long Facebook rant about how I'd financially abandoned her. Started messaging my family members with some story about how I'd forced her to stay home, controlled all the money, pushed her into depression. My sister called me, laughing. Weird how she never mentioned any of this before today. The lawyer moved fast, had divorce papers ready the next day. When Sarah got served, she totally lost it, started throwing my stuff onto our apartment balcony. My gaming PC, clothes, books, anything she could lift. The neighbors called the police, and guess what? Those hallway cameras came in handy again. She tried telling the cops I was abusive, but they weren't buying it. One officer straight up told her, "Ma'am, we can see the security footage of you throwing things off the balcony." She got a warning, and I got a police escort to collect my remaining stuff. Walking through our apartment with those officers, man, that was surreal. Sarah followed us room to room, switching between crying and screaming. Kept saying she'd sign the papers if I just gave her another chance. When that didn't work, she started listing everything she'd sacrificed for our marriage. One of the cops looked so uncomfortable, but the other had this seen-it-all expression. He helped me grab my important documents while his partner kept Sarah in the living room. Found out later he'd gone through something similar with his ex over the next few weeks. Sarah tried everything, showed up at my work crying, sent her friends to talk sense into me, even tried getting her dad to threaten me with some lawsuit about common law property rights, not a thing in our state, by the way. Tom, the guy from the bistro, actually reached out to me, sent proof that Sarah told him she was separated and finalizing her divorce. Guess he felt guilty. He had texts showing they'd been meeting for months. More evidence for my lawyer. The divorce itself, well, since we don't live in a no-fault state, it was pretty straightforward once Sarah realized she had no leverage. The recording shut down any claims about abuse or control. Her lawyer actually told her to settle after hearing it. She left with basically what she came in with, her personal stuff and her car, which I signed over to her just to be done with it. That was 4 months ago. Last I heard, Sarah moved back in with her parents. Sometimes she still makes fake social media accounts to check up on me, but that's about it. She tried dating Tom again, but apparently he wasn't interested in someone who couldn't fund their own fancy lunches. My new apartment is smaller, but it's just mine. No more checking bank statements for surprise purchases. No more lies about staying home cleaning while spending my money on dates with other guys. Some people ask if I regret how things ended. Honestly, I regret not seeing the signs earlier, but that phone call, that was a gift. Imagine if I'd found out years later, maybe with kids involved. Sometimes the worst day of your life ends up saving you from an even worse future. Mike still has me over for game nights. My sister visits more often now. Even my neighbor from my old building sends me cookies through her grandson, who works near my office. Life's different, but better. More honest. Yesterday, I walked past that bistro where everything went down. I looked through the window and saw a couple having lunch. The guy was on his phone, not paying attention to his date. Made me wonder if history was repeating itself with someone else. Almost wanted to warn him, but that's not my problem anymore. I've got my new place, my job, my peace of mind. The trust issues might take a while to work through, but hey, at least I'm not paying for someone else's secret lunch dates anymore. Final edit, thanks for all the support, Reddit. Writing this out helped more than I expected. To everyone asking, yes, I'm doing better now. And to those going through something similar, save everything, record everything, and don't let anyone make you feel crazy for protecting yourself.